Okay, so first I want to make something clear here. A question I get a lot is why is my mic at my nose? And I just want to go ahead and clarify because I know it looks weird, but if I have my mic here, you can hear it every time I make an exhale. It gets really poppy and stuff like that. But if I have it here, everything sounds good. I gotta keep it above the nose line so you don't hear me exhale on my nose.
Bevo Devo should not be consumed while operating heavy machinery, driving, standing, sitting, watching, or clicking. Common side effects include, but are not limited to, big dick energy, already being tracer, nerfing bastion, boofing, spoofing, goofing, roofing, but not Bill Cosby roofing, and general depression. Please consult a medically trained macaque before watching any Bevo Devo content.
I guess we can go ahead and get started with the whole thing. So, I want to discuss what I think is important in the fact that it's not important. And that comes as a result of, let's see, it's the Bastet update for Overwatch, which for those who don't know, Overwatch had a new update in which, continuing their lore in which Ana, a healer, becomes kind of a vigilante deal, joins up with Soldier 76, does this whole thing, and becomes this vigilante called Bastet. She has a really cool skin, which I'm super down for. I think it's an awesome skin. I think it's really great. Now, with this patch came the release of a new short story. In this short story, it was revealed that Soldier 76 was gay. And the Gamer Nation decided that this was a good time to rise up.
Gamers, rise up!
As we all tend to do over things that really don't matter. And so I'm going to kind of share my opinion and thoughts on this matter because that's what you all came for, to hear me express my feelings on things that I don't believe particularly matter. So let's start with the basics here. This came out with a short story that was really good and really cool. Kind of revealed some more information on, after the whole collapse of Overwatch, what certain characters were up to and still doing. And it's worth the read if you're into Overwatch lore and you like short stories and reading about the characters. Like, it's all down for it. In it, it said basically Ana's talking to Soldier 76, and they bring up this past relationship that Soldier had, and showed this picture and whatnot. And the thing about it, that I didn't get why people reacted the way they did, is because the way they framed that part of the story is it wasn't some big deal. It was just mentioned, and it was it was like a part of that conversation, so it seemed natural and it didn't seem weird. It wasn't like Ana said, "Oh, Soldier, so you're gay. Remember when you were gay back then and you're still gay now?" Like, it wasn't that kind of deal. And it also kind of had the same, like, when I first heard about it, my thought, and I think a lot of people had this thought too, was thinking back to whenever J.K. Rowling revealed that Dumbledore was gay. And it seemed kind of like a retroactive update for a character, like a feature of a character that really didn't impact the story in whatsoever. And for me personally, I thought that whole thing was unnecessary, but this is different. I mean, it holds the same bounds in that it doesn't actually affect the character that much, other than more background on him, but it doesn't, in the terms of this medium, of this game, it doesn't affect any gameplay, it doesn't affect any aesthetics, it's just a fact. Not to mention, all it did is, as opposed to the J.K. Rowling Dumbledore thing, where it was a kind of a retroactive, addition, this was a regular addition to lore, because the lore of Overwatch isn't it hasn't been given out kind of linearly. It's kind of odd and picks parts and pieces, and where it adds in certain different timelines through the short stories and animated segments and whatnot, which you can piece together and get a fair narrative, but there's still, it's not like they were given out linearly. So you learn about each characters as you get stuff, and you learn more about them as it goes on. Now I'm going to take a sip. That's good. I personally don't think it matters because it doesn't affect gameplay. It didn't change any aesthetic things. It didn't change any mechanics of Soldier 76. It just added a fact about his character within the Overwatch lore. Along with that, one thing to be noted is the Overwatch lore and the Overwatch game that you play are pretty separated. In that, when you think about it, the game that you play is kind of based on that lore, but it's not 100% within that lore. You know what I mean? So, you look at when you look at all the lore and stuff like that, you have basically the bad side within the story currently, and the good side, which are kind of the remnants of Overwatch. Granted, some remnants of Overwatch are on the bad side. When you look at Reaper, he's kind of the main protagonist. And then you have, characters like Soldier 76, Ana, Mercy, and whatnot that are granted dispersed at, this present date. Granted, present obviously being in the future, but where we have it within the story. And so whenever you play in Overwatch itself, you're still mixing these characters that storylines don't mix like this. Like, they don't work together at this point. They don't work together in this form, because when you play the game, that's outside of the lore and outside of the time span. You just play the game. But Blizzard has been kind enough to add more interesting details in a story to make it a little more interesting than a game, to where you have some substance to it. I think it's super interesting because they add little details within the map where you can see evidence of this lore. For example, the spray paints on some of the wall, like in King's Road, that show the humans' animosity toward the Omnics, because that kind of enhances the experience, but at the same time, you still have to remember that you're playing outside of that. Like, this isn't a story-driven game, it's a multiplayer experience. You compete, and you play a game, and you win, and you try and go for an objective, but it's not a story-driven game, is I guess the point I'm going at. And so this additional detail doesn't affect it. I think part of it just comes down to, we're gonna have diversity within this cast, and so, yeah, we'll, make it 50-50 for some degree of pandering, but I think they did a good job at creatively doing it. You know what I mean? And then again, you have to go through the lens of, what does it matter what, gender they are? Or what does it matter what their sexual orientation is? One thing I want to note within this that was brought up to me that I would like to thank my good friend Gabe for is, in spite of all of this, people are like, oh my god, he's gay, this is horrible, this is such backtracking, it's so unnecessary, it's just the worst thing in the world. Well, you know what else came out with the Bastet patch, basically, or the Bastet challenge within Overwatch? Sure, it came out that Soldier 76 was gay. Big deal, but you know what they did? They added a new exclusive Ana skin, with a Bastet mask and all that. It's a super great skin. I mentioned this early in the stream. But the coolest thing about this skin is how you earn it. The way in which you earn it is all you have to do is win 9 games. In either quick play, competitive, whatever. Win 9 games. You don't even have to play Ana. You can play any character. Now, some people are like, oh, this is too easy and whatnot. I don't care. And I'll tell you why. Because it's a big change from what we saw in Overwatch in the past, where previously when you got a skin, or whenever there were new skins released, the only way you could get it was through either having gold, which you'd get through loot boxes, or getting it in a loot box. And the only way you could get a loot box was either by leveling up or by buying it. And what this did is this effectively it kind of lightly changed the landscape, moving from microtransactions with loot boxes and whatnot like that. But they've changed their system to the degree where it looks like they're moving away from these microtransactions and starting to incentivize players just to play. You win 9 games, you get the skin, that's it. All you have to do is play the game and win. And I think that's a beautiful scheme because it's rewarding for players who are active and doing well within the game. And of course, obviously you don't have to do that well to win, but the bigger point is you're being rewarded just for playing the game, which is how games should be and how games have been. I mean, if you play, again, any single player game and whatnot, as you progress, you get things. You play Skyrim, the higher the level and whatnot, you unlock skills, you unlock the ability to get new weapons, and as you progress further within the story, you unlock new stuff. Now, obviously, that's a completely different game because it's an RPG, and this is a multiplayer experience, but when it comes to aesthetic things, we've seen in the past that those things, you have to buy them. That's how it's been in almost every single MOBA, and that's where they make most of their money, are in aesthetic things. Now, granted, you can make the point that MOBAs are all free, and that's something I want to address. Overwatch is a game you pay for, so why should you continue to have to pay for stuff in-game? And I think this is a great step for two reasons. One, obviously, point of it comes down to is they want people to buy the game, and beyond that, they want people to continue playing the game who have the game. So, you know, if I hadn't played Overwatch in a while, you know, just me personally, because how much I enjoy on, and I saw the skin, I was like, win 9 games, I'd probably pick it back up. And maybe in that time, I'd go for it and I'd be like, oh wait, I miss Overwatch. I haven't played it in so long. And then I start playing Overwatch more. And I think that's part of what Blizzard's banking on here. Is it that big of a deal being gay in 2019? No, it isn't. And it shouldn't. So why do people care? You know what I mean? Like, literally 2019, and gamers are rising up because Soldier 76 gay and that's not what they wanted. Well, who gives a shit? Like, who honestly gives a shit? And that's kind of my big point in all this. Hey, what up, gamers? It's your boy Bevo Devo here. Different shirt, different day. This is recorded after, but I wanted to use this time to thank you for watching and remind you to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. And have a beautiful day, and don't forget to check out these other videos, or these other videos, wherever they show up somewhere around here. See you next time!